Welcome to the Rolled Standard. I am Christopher, and I was the game master as we played Vaesen for our season of the Black Goat arc. We're reviewing it today, and of course, I am joined by...
Hello. I'm Levi, the Torn in Twain.
the Torn in Twain.
Not you personally. Well, maybe you.
My heart.
Ole, poor guy.
Jake here. I got to play John, but I had to put him back to nap for about another 6 months before we pull him out again.
About a year.
Yeah, he needs to recharge. And I'm Nate, and I played Timothy Allen Masters.
Yeah, so that was ridiculous.
Yes.
Good God.
That's how it usually goes, though.
Yeah, no, like, I had a ridiculous story in mind initially. It got more ridiculous as we had a detail to it. And then as we figured out how to make it make sense, it got more ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I feel like in an attempt to make it make sense, we made it make less sense.
Well, even Back to the Future was a little goofy.
I mean, there's still people that talk about all that shit. Time
But-
travel's hard.
Time travel is fun. I think the time travel elements of the story were great. They made a lot of sense, and the things that we made them do, or the reasoning behind every little piece of time travel made a lot of sense in the story.
Right.
Like how many times you see Smith, each time he was there, there was a total reason for it.
Yes.
Honestly, okay, so to give insight into that, initially, obviously, 1862 Smith, right? That was the one that opened the crate and found you.
No,
the
I
guy-
flexed out.
Okay, fair enough. He actually stabbed the crate because he thought it was a mimic, to be honest. Because he saw two, he's expecting to see one crate or one of those steamer trunks, but he sees two identical ones, knowing that there should be one. So he's like, mimic, bam! And you're like, ah, bam! It's just you inside there. He doesn't know you at this point. It's a different point in his career that you exist. But then, so you guys leave and you see another one. That's 1960 Smith. That is the one that first realized that chronotumor existed and then went back to go stop himself from doing it, but then was surprised to see you there. And he knows you at that point. 1960 Smith knows you. That was actually after the Of Monsters and Men arc, because that took place in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
And this took place in the December.
Yes.
So that was weird. So he was like, oh, I already handled this better. And he was really confused by that, but he left because he trusts your presence there could only mean one thing, really. So then 1961 Smith was the one that saw you guys in the parade, or that you saw.
He was too curious.
He was too curious.
This is the
Like, what
wild.
the fuck was going on?
This is the wild
I
thing.
didn't find out.
This is the wild thing to me, though. There's a potential reality that the only reason Smith thinks that he knows how to fix it later on is because he learned it from John, who he learned it from himself, who went back and talked to John.
Yes, pretty much. Like, because
It's a closed loop of information.
the only way that he learned it in 1961 was going back and having John tell him.
Yes.
Yeah, which makes sense. But then 1962, he knows that he sent John, so that's the thing he did. He sent John.
Yes.
Because he knew that he knew he did it. He knows he has to, so he does it. That's very weird. And then 1963, John, who... Unfortunately, 1962 John failed without 1963 Tom's intervention.
So he had to go back and
he had to
intervene
go
the
back.
year after.
He knows that he prevented his cancer, but he knows like this Nazi thing. That was what he was preventing initially.
it still ends up being that.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, well, like I got to do this still.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it gets kind of weird, but
Yeah,
like,
we should keep time travel to once a year.
I mean, it only makes sense in places that it makes sense in. In this, it didn't make sense in this.
It's okay.
But it did set the premise. and it was
Regardless,
fun.
what it gave us was an opportunity to play and use the system and create just wild storytelling.
That was the reason why it happened in the first place, was because we were like, okay, we're going to have a John Cena return for Christmas.
Yeah,
and then we were like, let's play Vaesen. And then I was reading the book, and I'm like, this is really specific to that time period, so we can't really change it to the 70s like we were planning. And I mentioned it on Reddit and got some feedback that I was going to do that. And that was a bad idea. But so then I was like, well, we can't change that. How do we change the other half of that, John? So like, well, it's obviously time travel.
Oh,
That's
God.
easy. Like,
Well, I mean, we decided from the beginning that if that's what we were going to do, send John back in time,
And the only
things are going to be
reason-
wild regardless of what happens.
Well, right away when I was doing character creation or something, we were talking about John. It was the first episode of Monster Week. What has John been doing? I don't know, time travel or some shit?
Yeah,
you know,
that
John
was-
things.
See, John,
and that literally
Another
backs it up now.
throwaway line.
Yep.
Well, we take those throwaway lines and we make stories out of those,
Oh, it's just crazy.
which is fun.
Yeah, that's exactly how we do it. This is, regardless, though, this system, holy shit.
Fun. No, the Year Zero engine is cool. It's very...
It is. It's
Very
wild.
different.
It's got a lot of
Dice?
Yeah, a lot of,
Yes.
lot of cubes.
A lot of dice.
It was rough on us.
It was rough. I mean, there was so many times you're throwing like 5 or 6 dice and ended up with nothing.
Yeah, I mean, shit. There's times
Meanwhile,
we're
I'm throwing
all-
like 5 over here and it's like 2.
Yeah, 2 success, 3 successes.
That was ridiculous.
We're throwing like 11 and getting nothing. That's wild. It was like statistically the game was against us in that. Like not statistically it was against us. It's just that
The dice knew we weren't playing it right. Like, come on, you guys.
hey, if the dice had rolled the way that statistically they should have, we would have been playing it right.
Right. Statistics are wrong. Statistically.
The numbers, Mason.
What do they mean?
So,
I like the engine. I like the idea of the game. I feel like
we hacked it too much for me to give you like a real reliable review.
Sure.
I'll review what we've experienced. Well, I'll talk about even like obviously our story.
My review is there's way too many fucking enemies in one shot.
That was another
God.
thing. The game is meant to be like a hunt for one creature, and you may deal with multiple, but not usually. I just ran it like we run stuff. Like,
Oh man.
that's see those things. That's all stuff that you learn too.
that's true. Yeah, honestly, if I was to do that again, if we were to play that game again, I would just have you guys hunting one creature. I'd pick it out of the book. If we were to play that again and
Right.
not have an intention in mind, because I was making this a Christmas story.
Sure, yes.
I would have just run the thing in the book.
See, like from the very beginning, it was an epic. It was an odyssey.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I
but,
figured a Christmas
ooh, it was
special
rough.
needed to be epic as fuck, and it was, but it was like stupidly epic. Like, what's that movie with Kung Fury?
Yeah, yeah.
It felt like that after a
Ollie's
while.
the star.
Yeah, it felt like
Oh,
that
yeah.
after a while, where I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's okay. Like legitimately, the most fun that I had was in its ridiculousness. It's hard to pick something up, decide that 5 episodes are going to be what we do to do something ridiculously epic, and
That's
then
another good point.
it be 100% true to something while there are dice rolls involved. There's chance to everything. A good example is like in the second to the last episode, the whole fight at the house or whatever. Everything about that was legitimate.
Yeah.
It was our
Ugh.
chances of surviving were
It was intense.
it was crazy.
There was I intended initially for the Yulbakken fight to be the climax of the story, but it really felt like that fight was more.
Well, it also
the
like
goat yard fight.
The goat yard.
I feel like more of it. It's strange to me that like we had such.
We wouldn't have really solved the ghost thing in that situation. That was definitely the climax of the story.
I mean, emotionally,
Because
for
we
sure.
saved
Oh,
we
in a
saved
lot of
Christian.
ways.
Yeah, that was like the huge turning point.
Well, like one of the major parts of any holiday story is family and that whole.
And the death of a dad.
The death of a dad.
Yeah, well, hey,
Oof! Yeah, that I guess I kind of forgot about that part.
Brutal.
hey, it's.
Brutal.
I don't disagree that sometimes that's a very necessary thing to do.
You guys didn't even honor his body or anything. You're like, well, let's get in the box.
We didn't really have a
couldn't.
choice. We were in the middle of the wildest shit and fucking.
Ollie's like
Ollie's
dying
just-
again for the second time.
Yeah, he's
Within
actually
5
dying.
minutes.
He's the father that I cared about.
That's true. Actually,
know?
yeah.
Let's go back.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
let's-
absolutely.
So I enjoyed playing. What kind of character was this?
The servant.
The servant. Very fun.
Oh,
Very fun
man.
build. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, you
I'm very-
built him to be a badass.
Very punchy, this guy.
Yeah.
Very
Oh my
punchy.
god. Well, it was just like it worked out to be legitimately like Grant Morrison's Alfred,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of.
Oh, just a
Where-
badass.
Just stronger than Batman
Just
for some
like
reason.
so wildly powerful and like
My unarmed
smart.
attacks were stronger than an axe or a revolver.
yeah.
Do you remember in the prologue, not the prologue, but the part 0,
Mm-hmm.
how I mentioned that I couldn't stress hard enough how less cool you guys were?
Yes, yes.
That's still true about Tim, but it's not necessarily true about Oli.
Oh my god.
It is absolutely true.
Because you like Bruce Wayne, Tim Masters.
Well,
Bruce Wayne.
mine
Ole Svensson, Alfred, last name? I can't remember his last name.
Pennyworth.
Pennyworth. Oh, right, of
Oh,
course.
Pennyworth.
Honestly, Ole's pretty fucking badass.
He's no
my
doubt
gosh.
for sure. It's actually one of the things that I had kind of decided when we were talking about him being a shit and them not liking each other was one of the things that I wanted to do was legitimately bring them together as characters.
yeah,
you know,
and you guys did.
that's what I wanted to do the most is like have this kid who has been like pretty much alone, you know.
With Oli.
Yeah, who is like a begrudged caretaker,
Right.
you know, like actually have like real human interactions with people
Yep.
for the first time and kind of changing who he was.
Yeah, who was forced in fight pits. I made up. He was
Yeah,
in the fight
yeah,
pits
yeah.
as a kid.
You got some
Oh,
weird
yeah.
details.
That's
Yeah, it
so
makes sense,
weird.
actually. Well, sort of.
Kind of. Not
So
really.
my question is, well, how did it feel to be John Cena again? A little subdued and a little like beaten
It had
down.
to be because it wasn't just John's story. I didn't want to be overpowering for brand new
That's a
characters
good point.
and shit.
That's a
Well,
good
at the
point.
same time, like the full first episode, he was normal, and then the beginning of the second, he gets
Snaps.
mind snapped, and then he spends most of that episode like
Just popping rounds.
yeah,
and fucking
raging on
wrestling
goats.
Yeah.
And
It was great because I got to be John again, but I also got to just be the James version of John in this world. These two were doing everything, and I was just kind of leading them in the background.
yeah, I
I
mean,
pulled the same shit on Ollie that I did on fucking Huey, where I was like, "Yeah, we'll do that," and I went to the back. I remembered,
And
I
you
remembered
almost
shit that I
died.
did.
And you almost
yeah,
died.
that worked out real well for
Well,
you.
he's a younger version, all right.
That's
He's
true.
less trained.
Oh
Yeah.
my
3 years
God.
less.
Yeah, that's Batman peeing year one or whatever.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though. I
Do
mean,
you realize that in the entire year of 1962, John Cena did not exist? He didn't. 1962, you went back in time. You came back in 1963. You were gone for a whole year.
and it's been like,
5 days.
So he's actually younger than it seems.
oh my god,
By almost a year.
Oh man,
360 some days. Yeah, 360 days probably. Maybe a little less.
I like.
That's weird. His birthday is technically wrong now. If he even has one. Who knows if he
Yeah.
even has one?
Right. Oh,
It's a-
that's true.
It's a date on a test.
I
tube.
wasn't born of a
Yeah,
woman.
First
sir.
one I cracked.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you feel about playing what's your character model?
Oh, the academic.
The academic.
Be honest now.
No, it was hard. It was hard to not feel like I could get something done the same way that you guys could. I mean, I did a very good job of like helping in the preparatory scenarios, and that was like what I was built for the most part. But when it comes to combat, like it was a shock that I killed a goat, man. That I mean, it
Wait a
makes
minute.
sense, right?
We left without your goat legs being fixed.
yes,
Well,
You can imagine something happened with it.
maybe, or
No.
I'm just a dude with
He's
goat
Seder,
legs.
he's just a Seder man.
there's just people that don't have the sight stuff.
Yeah,
so.
he's just still walking around naked. That's the problem.
Well, he had pants. We made him pants.
oh yeah, those special.
He's got
pants.
little shorts.
yeah.
shorts.
He's just a boy that everybody walks. He's walking around barefoot with shorts.
Yeah.
Just a strange lad.
Yeah, and then turns out you go into the fucking observatory booth from Of Monsters and Men, and Shaky, he gets up and he's got goat legs and he fucking goes off.
God.
Whole Shaky is Timothy.
Oh, it could be. Oh man, we could totally weave them. Well, we got to revisit them more. But, hey, Patreon, you want to see us revisit these ridiculous ideas and the stories we've already created?
Yeah, no shit.
Fucking hit us up. We'll get in on it. We'll get on it.
So the Vaesen,
Vaesen.
Vaesen?
I don't know.
as a game
Vaesen.
type, is it made more or less not to be more combat? It's supposed to be more of the story, right?
I mean, any
And, like,
game is
investigating
intended to
and-
do with whatever you do with it.
Yeah, yeah.
However, we did make it more combat heavy than it's intended to be. It did work for it. There is some fighting involved, obviously, because
Yeah.
statistically there's stats for it.
Yeah.
But we did it differently. It is meant to be more of a mystery, more of a horror mystery. We made it again into an epic.
Yeah,
Hard.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it's hard to do that when like you know what your goal is.
Yeah.
You know.
We may have been better off playing a different system for the story we told, but we didn't.
That's all right.
We used this. And honestly, it was a nice little taste of the Year Zero engine because we personally have never experienced it.
Yep.
And I like it. I like the dice pool system. I'm excited to eventually play Alien if we ever do.
Yeah, yeah.
And Forbidden Lands looks like
Oh,
a
we
blast as
should.
well.
Yeah, we played
I
with
would
it.
love to play this same robot system or whatever again.
We were playing
know
with
the year
alien
one.
dice the
With
whole
all the
time,
dice.
Yeah, it's a great system.
because these are the alien dice.
We
correct?
did. We played with the Alien dice. Yes, from the Alien starter set, which I bought that a while
Yeah.
ago.
See, I
And
feel
we
like
also
that's-
use the Alien Initiative cards too, which does show like the immutability of the two systems, if that's the right word.
Yeah, I think that the alien system will be even more interesting if we ever get to it, because there's going to be like a system put in place with that is like, oh yeah, this is Alien. People die.
Yeah, there's these yellow dice in that system are the stress dice. The black dice is what you're using for everything pretty much. But
Oh,
stress
man.
dice are adding to them, and they have. That's why the one on these is
Yeah.
something different. They're terrible, but it's meant to be. Yeah, and that's another thing is we didn't get the fear system. I didn't use the fear system correctly. We did with you when you first saw Yulbakken on the streets. That one worked. The imps I figured weren't worthy of it, but well, they could have been. Arguably, I feel like Tim would have been pretty scared of that.
Yeah, that's possible.
The ghost, I should have done it there when she first made herself known. or when anything happened. I didn't do it there either. But you guys knew what you were in for.
And John
arguably.
deals with weird shit all the time.
He's seen
so.
shit. He's trained and seasoned for this kind of encounter. Tim, however, was fucking mentally prepared for it. We could go with that. Yulbakken, however, when you ran to him in the end, I had 2 stats for his different forms, and his fear there was 3-1.
Oh my god.
So you should have had to beat 3 because he's terrifying.
Holy
You would have,
fuck.
and it's almost good that I didn't. Again, you guys knew what you were in for. You were very steeled in your resolve.
Again, we've talked about this before, but as a show, you have to try to find a way to draw the line between the storytelling and the mechanics.
True.
And
Very
it,
true.
and it like all the best stories that I have heard have been ones that have had to put one before the other, realistically, in certain scenarios. Because like we talked about in many other games, like you want to be a fan of the players.
Yeah.
If we put ourselves in a scenario where it's like, okay, this is definitely the fucking end-all, be-all shit, like there's nothing you can really do. We pulled out every stop to keep Ole alive. He almost died anyway.
Ultimately, you survived the fight. So
Some-
you technically didn't lose.
I
You know what
agree,
mean?
but even then, some fights in some scenarios are winding down a clock.
Yeah.
And for some people, it might not be the most satisfying ending, but it's a realistic ending
Yeah.
sometimes.
And honestly, I had the ending to be hanging like that.
That's an important part.
Intentionally.
Yeah, that's an important part to talk about too, because it's like it's not like it wasn't like you knew what your ending was going to be from the beginning. You had said
More or
that
less.
you knew.
I didn't know
what it was gonna
how,
be.
but I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Was make him run away, give that last "see you next year, John" line.
Yeah, so
And
that
that's it. That's really all I really. And I also knew that Rudolph had to die for reasons.
yeah. Well, I mean, even then, it's just like it's one of those things. It's like it gives us another thing to come back to just at the end or this time of year. It puts us in a position where we can do similar stories or continuations of stories in different engines at this same time of year next year.
For sure. That's the plan. Season of the Black Goat 2.
I mean, a lot of what we do is to
Colder,
give an example. To give an example of what a game system is like, and then go on and do another story, man.
Yeah.
I feel like this one, like every time I look at a game that has a health system that is either conditions or boxes to check,
They're so bad.
I'm like, oh my god, this is so brutal.
Yeah.
Oh
Can
my
I have
God.
a double-digit number?
Yeah, please. Oh my god, can I have a ticker of some kind, like one that's
It was nice preparation for what we're going to be doing in Merkborg, realizing we have very limited health and shit.
Yes.
yes.
That's going to be
So-
amazing.
That I will give it that. I won't let it tarnish my playthrough. But it did upset me when we're rolling like 36 fucking dice in one shot and you miss everything and the book is telling you it's statistically impossible.
Also, when like a big bad hits you for a 4 and you're just down, you
It's
can't
one-shotted.
you can't do anything.
But that
It makes
makes
sense, though, with who it was.
Other
yeah,
than you
this
have,
is meant
like,
to be.
these
We keep
mental
forgetting though,
things.
it's meant to be a mystery. We're supposed, if we do get caught up, we do get fucked up, and we're supposed to, escape, recover from it. This
Yeah.
game's supposed to be taken very slowly.
Yeah, we did
With
it
mechanics,
differently.
yeah.
Yes. And
There were
it's not
parts
the-
we did correctly.
Yeah.
There were parts that we were like, that would have been better if
It
this
goes
was a
right
game.
back to what you were saying earlier. We did it our own way, and it's
We always do.
yeah.
Yep.
So we played the hard version of this. That's what we did.
I'd say
Like with Numenera.
I'd
We
say
decided
so.
that fighting would be fun. And then we're like, wow, fighting is hard in this game that's not entirely meant for fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everything past that point became more balanced because we understood it afterwards.
That's very true. Yep.
That's the same thing that could be very similar to this. If we decide to come back to this for next year, just
I know
on
exactly what to
happenstance,
do.
we
Yeah.
know now, and that's fine.
And then maybe buff your character, Nate.
Joe,
Because I
though,
see,
that
like
doesn't-
these types of systems, like Numenera, I see you going down quite hard, quite frequently.
I picked the opposite of the usual
Yeah.
classes that I do.
Numenera was a
so,
tanky guy.
so that I could be the support
Dude.
dude.
It was very tanky.
I
That's
just didn't
why,
realize. I just didn't realize that certain things, like for some reason, never even considered the idea that force would be what you'd use against magic.
Yeah.
Right?
We come into
That's a
this
wild-
pretty
It
empty-minded.
depends on the spell.
Right.
things are different
Force
for us.
makes sense for the one that I got because it was changing me physically.
Yep.
So I totally understand that. It's kind of like a constitutional thing or whatever, but it threw me off so bad when I was like, because I just kind of assumed that might be the case for a lot of things then.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, man, it didn't make any sense for a dude like me to be good at any of those things. So I was like, yep, I'm going to be the dude that hides inside the carriage. Or
I just
gets on
didn't
top
want to
of
be
it or
a
whatever.
shooty dude the whole time, so I fucking tried to switch it up.
Shooty dude.
Shooty dude.
What up, shooty
Well, I
dude?
mean, that's kind of where, John has always found his middle ground in between the two.
I love that I got the champion's insight, which gives me the bonus combat in
just
game,
used it
and
real-
he's just a badass and monster of the week when it comes to like doing
It's
crazy
stuff
shit.
like that gave him that.
Yeah.
It's cool to think about. I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that when we do revisit him in the sequel, we'll carry forward into whatever system that we have. We'll find the right thing to give him as a freebie because of that.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Oh, here's another question I have. The four of you went back to 1963 Nazi Earth.
Yes.
Do Tim and Ole stay there? Like, they had the option to.
True, I was very curious.
Yeah.
I need to know. You guys have the option. What would you do?
I guess we just have to wait and see what happens.
Oh,
I mean, he's not wrong.
a surprise.
We
You
could
know,
play
like-
that out.
Like, does Ole and Tim, do they help?
Be an opening scene like we did with John and Smith.
It could literally be the three guys again. Well, they wouldn't. They would literally have Tim be somebody else. They would be like, "No, you're not going."
No, I'm a different guy. I like he's the dude.
What?
Like
like not sending you.
realistic. No, you're right. But realistically,
It's funny,
he is like the Huey in this scenario.
It
Like,
could easily
like,
be like a
do we-
strike team.
Do we like buff them a little bit and then just continue on with the story with them?
Tim is a guy that
And then, John
I think.
and then Jake just plays another guy.
I feel like Tim would
Yeah,
be
Jake
a
would
dude
play
that
John.
you
Oh, he
put.
just plays John again. Why would
He
he play
just
someone
plays
else?
John.
Why would he play somebody else?
I feel like Tim would be a dude that would be well utilized at the D-pick in the office. A dude that has been there for a lot of the things that are now like hundreds, like
Yeah,
100-year-old
Tim is
writing.
Oh shit! Was Tim actually Ole's cover story?
Tim never went back. He is shaky.
He could
He's-
be.
He stayed, but knew that he wasn't strong enough to go out and fight with everyone
even
else.
then-
So he's the
I don't know who Shaky is.
No,
Shaky
even
is
then,
the bartender in James's place.
yeah.
No. Slim is the bartender.
Oh,
and,
who's Shaky?
Shaky is the guy that
the-
watches the cameras. In
Yeah.
the D-pick.
He
We never
watches
said
the
he can't go
cameras and the
legs or
screens
anything.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him now.
But even then, you think about that. Even in that.
Oh wait, that was 1960.
yeah, that was earlier.
Oh fuck. Oh, that
Yep.
doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
God damn it. We did all this time travel shit in my brain.
No, it's okay. It's okay in the way that like John is a guy that was
He's a
made
guy.
synthetically, and he is the guy that people go around and high five at the office and shit.
He's accepted.
The idea that the idea that Smith is like, don't you fucking tell anybody you're from the past and you can be here, and then they just become people.
Yeah.
Part of the D-pick is like not an unrealistic thing.
That's true.
Tim becoming somebody who like can just be like a consultant of very specific folklore things, especially things that don't use the
I
reason
like
why
the idea of
Vaesen
people at the D-pick being individual characters with titles.
right.
Like in John Wick, there's like the sommelier and stuff like that. The guy, stuff like that. Like it'd be interesting to
The
him to be, like,
librarian.
the archivist.
Oh yes, the archivist.
The arch-
Fuck
it's
yes.
It's just this goat-legged boy.
Yeah, dude. He'd just be fucking weird and
It's
like
Ole the pugilist.
Oh, he died. He's old.
he'll eventually die. But
Yeah, 5 days if I don't heal.
but I
my
mean,
guts.
you come back. You're James's age when you come back. By the way, like
Oh, shit, yeah, that's right.
you can
Okay.
be a combat specialist. You
It
can
would be
train
very
people.
interesting to think that Ole, due to his terrible injury, is wheelchair bound for a while, and it's literally the roles reversed, where Tim is literally taking care of him.
Fuck yeah, that would be no for
'Cause
real.
He gives that much of a shit about him, regardless of what he says.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea that they go back and they stay and they become part of something. Like what I was
to
going to
answer
say.
the question succinctly, do they stay in that time period?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think they would. I mean, honestly,
indefinitely. Like they don't go back.
I mean, honestly, we did exactly what we were
It would
like.
be super interesting then for us to run a story where like Castle Gillenkreuz, somewhere in the 1900s or even later, it was abandoned long ago. Because it just never returned.
Yeah, I guess I do like that because Ole did have some tusslings with like a changeling before, so he is familiar with like the supernatural.
Yeah, he
Yes.
could have some kind of like he could be like the old hand-to-hand combat. And shit.
Dude, as a matter of fact,
Well,
the
I'm only
great job.
47.
the
so-
very first.
He's I keep thinking he's like 70.
Yeah, no.
47,
I mean, the
middle-aged man.
Remember when we were looking into changeling stuff in the D-pick arc?
Oh,
the some of the very first versions of those accounts were shit that was written by Ole from that time.
Oh,
period.
yeah, 100%.
You know.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, like, think about.
oh, again, Changeling was 1960. That was the.
Oh well, yep. Nope,
Yeah, that's what escaped.
nope. That was a shapeshifter.
Ooh, the Changeling,
Changeling
was the
was the
girl.
girl.
Ooh, you're right.
Yep. We went
It's
back.
so similar.
Yeah, you're right. But no, even then, it's like I think in the stuff about Vaesen specifically, the reason why they are so like the relationship between humanity and them are so contentious right now is because of industrialization and like the moving on from the world of like without magic type of shit.
That's also
and
the
that's
point
why
of the
they're
game,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That makes sense that if Tim went back, his knowledge would be invaluable
Yeah.
when it comes to creatures that are now far more dangerous and far more feral in some cases.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
all of these creatures that were something that you could easily have done better research on in a world where they were more neutral.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really cool place for him to be, especially considering what they were trying to. That's why he asked Tom about the society, was because he's like, did it work? What we were trying to do.
Technically, no.
Bring it back. Did it work? And that's why he's like, fuck it. We got to go back. Because
Technically, then when you go to that, when he does go, the society ended right there.
yeah.
That society. So the society of the exploration that I explained is a different group.
Yes.
Entirely. I was thinking they could be the same group, but they're not.
No,
Because
and then-
they ended with you doing that. Maybe somebody picked up the mantle. We could touch on that later.
But
But
I
if we
mean-
return to Vaesen, we should be a completely new group that finds Castle Gillenkreuz after you've left it.
I fucking like. I
If
like.
we do. Hey, if you want to see that on Patreon, just tell us. We'll do it.
Dude, I love the idea of people like actually having agency
Bro.
in what we do. Just these characters being something that
We literally created 2 new D-Pick agents today.
yeah.
The roster is growing of D-Pick agents.
It's great.
I love it. I should make a nice group photo of all those guys just in suits.
I dig the idea of them being like they have nothing.
If you think about their experience when they show up back in their time, there is a year of hiding and stuff from the Nazis at that point, technically. So until next Yule season when they can attack that situation, then they undo it, ideally.
It's living.
Guaranteed to do it because
Yeah,
they
it's
have
like
to.
fucking
Because
underground.
1965 is not like that.
No, it's true.
So
Or do they time travel again?
hard to. Well, yeah, they can. I mean, the issue is your enemy in this situation is seasonal, so they have to wait until the next Yule
Yeah,
season.
where the
Well, yeah.
veil is thin.
But wouldn't you think though that you could just like, okay, I'm going to jump to 1962 and then go back? No, that wouldn't work.
Because if we went back, then we wouldn't have to worry about.
I feel like you should just go
20
back
years
to
of
1962
Nazis.
and tell John how
I think the most interesting thing about this is the idea that after all this is said and done, after 1965, we don't know about a lot of this shit with Smith, or we don't talk about it because he's not a time walker anymore.
He never really was.
Right, but like
he was
he gets-
using their services essentially.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like the idea that after everything's kind of fixed and put back together, they're like, no, Tom.
But we're
Like you fucked off
Quit
so
calling
much.
us.
Yes.
We'll
You don't
block
have
your number.
He's like, you don't have time cancer anymore? Good. Now stop fucking calling us.
There's this fucking Nazi regime walking through the streets.
It's like look at what
Yeah.
you've done.
Look at what you've done,
you mother
Oh,
you could have just died and everything would have been fine, Tom.
That would be an interesting story where the D-Pick actually fights the Time Walkers because the Time Walkers are pissed.
Dude,
'Cause
fucking
you fucked up everything.
dude, yeah. It's
That
why.
might actually make us an interesting third party for that season of Black Ops 2.
Oh yeah,
Time
an
Walkers
extra.
were just upset. Oh, and then how are you going to use their services to do it? They could
I feel
almost
like
be
it
the
was
reason that
stealing.
you do it,
I
too.
feel like he was like
little more pressure.
stealing it.
Could be.
but we got off base here.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
we're supposed to talk about the game itself, the mechanic.
We do what we do on the roof.
I know.
Talk about what we did and then talk about what we liked.
well, the
about it.
mechanics were all just the same thing. You just picked whichever skill
Very
set
simple.
you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's pretty
I think
simple.
that if you were to play this in a less epic setting and you got to like you kept moving forward in mysteries and stuff, especially with the features that you could
Yeah.
pick up.
Unlocking
there
the
were-
castle details is a lot of cool stuff too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We went there one time.
Yeah,
or
it was
whatever.
well because it was a one shot essentially.
Yeah.
That we just spread out, but like generally like after each adventure you go back there and do that shit. We did one adventure essentially,
Yeah.
so it didn't really play out useful that much, but it's good.
It was a great setting for the beginning of the game. That's what I care
What
about.
could we do at the castle if we went back?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
level up and
Yep, level up. You could
We had
upgrade
other
various
rooms.
rooms. Oh yeah, you explore. There's a little bit of stories to have there too.
That's a good question then. Like just out of curiosity, like could you give us a couple of examples of cool places that are in the castle?
No, I can.
That'd be sad.
I can. The headquarters.
Because just utilizing like the bare minimum of Castle Gillenkreuz as a group.
I gave you that weapons hall, weapons corridor.
Right.
Okay, so questions. Okay, we can actually do these things in this situation to determine if you would have gotten this stuff. 'Cause
Okay,
it's
sure.
a moot point now. But it says, after completing a mystery, you must together answer the following questions. Each affirmative answer yields 1 development point. Did you play at least one scene at the headquarters? You did.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah.
There's a few.
The library scene was enough. The toast scene. Did you encounter a new type of Vaesen?
I mean, new to us.
I feel like Yulbakken counts.
in
so
the
yes.
second. Yeah,
The goat men.
The Goatmen, that's another thing
is,
too.
is Santa Claus considered a Vaesen?
No.
No,
No, not really.
Weird.
He's just some thing.
Oh God, that's terrifying.
Yep.
Tom's dad.
Yeah, right. That'd be ridiculous. Did you visit a place of magic?
Fuck
yeah,
yeah.
you went to that fucking land of Yule, man. That's
Yep.
not nothing. Were you subjected to magic? Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
The ghost counts. Did you bring occult books or other important items back to your headquarters? No, because you never
Not
returned.
yet.
Nope. We could bring that sword back
sword.
there, but we didn't.
You brought
go
that
back.
to the D-Pick headquarters
Yes.
at your new headquarters. That counts.
We win.
Yeah, technically, yes. Did you make important contacts? I mean, Tom Smith's pretty fucking... And John Cena.
and the
And Santa. Oh, yeah.
And flashing your
penis at my professor. Yes.
That you'll never see again. That's his
then,
last memory
son
of you.
my God.
6B, did you ruin important contacts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a question, I just added that.
Yes. Oh my God.
Was the mystery particularly difficult or epic? Both.
Yes. Oh my
Did
God.
you solve the mystery?
No.
Sort of. Time cancer, yes. Kill Yulbakken, no.
I mean, yeah. There is.
Pissed him off, if that counts for anything.
Oh yeah.
It does
fucking A.
not. It definitely did, though.
Oh my gosh.
So I used various templates for different creatures.
Horses, reindeer.
Yeah, and then
Boars.
The boar was the goats. It just worked. I feel like they have a similar style of combat.
It just works.
It just works. And I used the neck for the stats on the goat guys.
The neck.
Yeah, it's a creature.
Just a long
No,
fucking neck.
it's not even close to that.
You gonna finish that?
It's a musician living in rivers, brooks, and lakes. I just took the fact that his picture looked kind of like a goat man.
Oh, there you go.
And I was like, might 5, body control 8, magic 12, manipulation 10. You're only using might and body control because they're wielding swords. That's really it. And then I used their conditions chart as well. That's why he was desperate at the moment.
I do like the idea that this is the reason why, another reason why John hates fucking imps.
That was the thing where I'm like, I got something special for John.
Yeah.
I wanted to finally see imps because he never does.
And it's when I'm beaten, bloodied, and broken on
No,
the ground.
not even, dude. When they were coming over the hill when we were on the fucking.
You guys handled
Carriage.
that like champs.
Yeah, but I think I started to hate them when they came out the window and I was already getting fucked up.
Yeah, they're real opportunists in that moment. They saw
Yeah.
you down. They were watching it from inside. You were down. They're like, oh shit, this is our time. And then they go out and take advantage of the situation.
Get absolutely crushed.
Yeah, it was what actually happened. Yeah.
Yep.
The one figured that was his time to run to the cave.
That would be the time.
Fucking
Oh my God, him
the
taking the boy.
impulster.
Yeah.
So in that situation, if we had not saved Christian, we would have ended up meeting him on the spiral Tower of Doom.
Yeah, he would have had him. For
Yep,
sure.
that would have been fucky.
Yeah, that would've been
man,
bad.
That would have sucked for him.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
See?
That's what they're trying to
See?
go take him to do.
We kind of succeeded in some sort of
You saved
sense.
him, for
Because
sure.
he killed
Thank
Randolph
goodness
real
for your
fast.
sniping.
We saved the next fucking.
Hey, in Monster of the Week, they always ask if you saved innocent victims. And
that's true.
you did.
Yeah,
That's
that
fucking
was my
true.
one goal.
I forgot about that.
I had a weird feeling that someone was going to try to escape through the back. That was my main reason I went to the backyard.
That's a smart choice because that's exactly what I was planning.
John's.
I thought you guys were going to bust into the place. And,
Nope.
there was a lot
I
of
didn't want to
roof
go
and stuff.
inside. I wanted to clear the outside and then tactically get inside.
I was hoping to
You guys were
manipulate
trying
a
to
horse.
point when you guys...
You did.
For once.
And then he died.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, poor Nathan.
That's a weird strategy.
No,
Well,
it's the most realistic fucking
It
strategy.
reminded
most
me
he
of
could do
Glenn
because he
on the
can't hit.
mountains.
Think about it. If
Yeah,
it
just
worked,
driving vehicles into people.
well, think about it. If it worked, I would have trampled. I would have used it to like trample and run over a goat, which is like probably the most
he's not a strong
viable
boy.
option for me to do damage to something.
And then-
that's me using my head over my physical prowess.
And
I
then
think it
yet
still
a
takes physical
goat-
prowess to steer a.
You're right.
rampaging
That's
Force
why
the
it,
horse to do weird shit.
that didn't. That's right. But it would not be the first time
it's so funny.
in storytelling that like people get away because a dude comes and fucking crushes a guy with a car or some bullshit like
And then
that.
a goat one-shots a horse.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. Which is bizarre.
Gave him
I
a
mean-
heart attack.
They're
yeah, he
demon
just like.
goats.
But you were punching
that's
goats to death in one shot too, so
Yeah, but
but that's not ridiculous.
that's not because I have
Max.
I want to watch a
superpowered
guy
fists.
punch a horse.
That's not
to
ridiculous.
Death.
I have superpowered fists. We said.
Yeah, my fist is
Loads-
more than a bullet.
Loads a bunch of shot. Yeah, no, yeah,
That's
exactly.
fucking true. That's
I'm
It
fucking
does. It does
Iron
one more
Fist
than my
here.
rifle.
Oh my
It's like,
god!
could he just shoot me instead?
Please just end me first. I don't want to get punched.
There is
by
always
him.
like these clashing echoes of just him punching things. That's all. Everything. Everything. he
Ole
hit.
against the goats is
strikes.
One Punch Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Straight up.
Oh
Absolutely.
my god, you one punch man. The
One
goats.
punch Ole.
You're bald and everything. You need to be wearing a yellow suit for the cover of that last one.
Just a red glove.
Red glove, yeah.
Oh man.
His winter suit. What?
Oh my
I think I've
god.
seen this somewhere.
I love the idea of Ole being the dude that just like out of nowhere is the guy at the D-pick now that just like, all right, come at me, and he puts up his dukes, and everybody's like, and then he just
I
rocks
guarantee
him.
you,
Kills,
John.
kills recruits.
I guarantee you, John is always trying to fight him.
Oh
like
yeah,
always sparring.
That's a part
with
of the
them.
reason why John becomes a badass. I'm sure
Yeah.
is
Because I
of Ole.
trained John.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, that's it. That's canon. I will accept that as canon.
Me too. I love
John
that.
John didn't have any master or whatever per se. What's the
Father figure?
No. I don't want Ole as my father figure. I mean,
Nobody does.
I do now.
Well, you have him.
I know.
you know, someone to teach him. Like he learned from agents, and that was
Sensei?
it. No, not sensei. It's a fucking
Steven Seagal.
No, it's not. You guys you're ruining this moment for me and Ole. No, he had
Mentor.
Yeah, mentor. There you go. He had a mentor because he was just a rambunctious fucking fool after he lost his seriousness. So he had to narrow that down somehow.
I suppose.
Yeah.
So it just
And
became.
James was too drunk.
yeah. Especially
Well, James
early
wasn't
on.
a combat expert.
No,
No,
I was
James
a pilot.
was better than with a pistol more often than not.
James was the pilot.
James
Yeah.
was a pilot, man. He had different specialization. That's why
And-
he wasn't in the fucking heat of it. He was a thinker more than like a get up in the shit.
I imagine I give you that sword the moment I get back too.
It's the silver sword. I
Yep.
fucking thought about it
Like-
right away, dude.
You run into John and you're like, John, you've been gone a while, and he's just like, yep, got you a present.
Like Jesus Christ, John.
Didn't get a postcard. The olden times are weird. You know, just to fucking and walks away.
Yeah, James canonically having a silvered sword, and then instead of the sword going back to John later on, he takes the. I'm sure he has it. Honestly, old John probably has it, but him instead carrying the dagger later on is much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
More so just because, like, you think about what it means, like what mementos mean to people in those ways. Ironically, mementos. Speaking
Right.
of,
Which is a cool concept.
yeah,
What a
I
life-saving mechanic that was.
It's-
I hope we
it's-
used it right.
I think maybe.
I don't know.
Well, I couldn't think of anything else. Would you get hit once by Yulbach and
When you're sitting in a world where, like, outside of combat, it makes more sense to rest no matter what you did anyway, and then not waste a memento in I think that makes sense for sure.
I think we can't stress hard enough really how we over combated this game. And that's fine. Because a lot of times the ritual to banish these things is not combat related. It's
Right.
like bury the body of their whatever or something like that.
Right.
In him, it was unfortunately a combat reason as well, because you had to have the blood of the throne, which is any of the two kids or the two young Santa's kin.
Yes.
Be there for him to transform into a form that was killable by the blade created by not by the blade necessarily, but by anything created by the blood.
You're telling me a candy cane would have worked?
I mean, what if he would have made it?
Fucking
Anything made by him, which now is just that one blade because
So,
he is
like-
dead.
like a
but Chris
spitball?
Kringle can also be making things too in the future. Who knows what that really all means?
Yes.
And also, I thought about something: the time passing in Yule and the time passing in the realm of humanity, as we called it, is different, perhaps.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, you go back the next year to Yule and you see that like Chris is like an old man now, and who knows what happened
Yeah.
in there because it's different.
Yes. I like any idea that just creates more interesting dialogue for the universes that we've put together.
True.
Any decision that we've made already puts us in a cool position for something later on A perfect example is the silvered sword or whatever. Like James holding on to it for a long time, especially considering there's nobody that could really say otherwise when it comes to like its importance or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
John being simple John especially be like, oh, I got a present for my friend. Here it is. It's like, didn't tell you at all, but Santa's son made this.
Yeah.
Here
And
you
it's
go.
to kill Krampus.
He's dead now.
Yep.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas, James. But I feel as though I have said enough about the Vaesen. I have nothing more to add, really. Unless you have any questions. I don't have anything else to add.
No.
I guess we have one burning question.
Yeah, well, right. I think that's the one.
Are we ready for that?
Kind of, yeah.
Jake, Levi?
I could touch on that topic.
Okay, so the question is, does Vaesen meet the rolled standard? Levi?
Yes.
It does?
Yes.
Why?
I enjoyed the gameplay and the mechanics. I mean, at first I was a little confused, but once I understood that, okay, this does this and you add that with this, I really enjoyed rolling all the dice and then fucking up completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say even after fucking rolling 12 dice and then failing it 4 times, you know, as soon as you roll it and you get fucking like 3 successes on something, you're like, fuck yes, oh my god, you beat that bitch. And then Chris rolls 3 dice and gets 7 successes, and it's just like, well, I don't. How?
3 dice and 7 successes.
It met my standard.
That's fair.
Jake?
I had fun. Okay, I have to be honest with you
You
guys.
always do that.
So
Every episode.
I really like the game, and pretty much almost exactly what Levi said. Once I figured out the mechanics, it became a lot of fun.
I feel like we consistently broke statistic, you know,
Yeah.
like
Even if we
statistical
rolled the
likelihoods.
best we could of this entire last fight, I still don't think.
It has a very specific dynamic that if you understand other games like that have kind of similar mechanics, but not really, like a good example, I guess, would be like Lasers and Feelings or something like that. If you've ever played that or listened to somebody play that, when you think about the idea of rolling D6s and successes and failures in that same, if you put yourself in that same mindset, it's because in those games, you know, you pick a number. It's like 4 and up or something like that. So you have to roll 4, or like you roll a number of dice and you have to roll 4 and over. This has only 6s succeed. And I put myself in a position like mentally early on where I was like, I really have to try and remember that that's exactly what I'm looking for here, because like it changes the dynamic of what your roles are from it took me a while to like kind of wrap my head around that same idea, I guess, especially when, you know, like any other games where you've mostly used D6s is like, you know, Apocalypse Keys type of Monster of the Week stuff or whatever. Now you have a handful of shit and you're just like dumping it down
Well, I mean,
and
this
hoping.
specifically was the Year Zero engine.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. It's
That's what it is.
I know what I mean. What I mean is that it's like it makes itself like, hey, you get an awesome opportunity to do very well with this, but we've balanced it to be difficult for you regardless. I mean, in the games that you play, makes sense for that to be the case. Alien is a perfect example of that because it is so exactly what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
They did it pretty well. They used the system.
So is that a yes or?
Oh, I mean, yeah. No matter what, I think it's a yes. I enjoy the game no matter what.
Yes with stipulations.
No, not at all. Nope, not at all. It's a yes for sure. I wish I would have gone. Again, it's one of those things. Going back, if we come back to this game, I'll enjoy it more because I understand it straight from the beginning.
It will
You
use
know.
less famous characters.
Yeah, that's true.
We were supposed to be the expendable ones, but otherwise, yeah, the game meets really any kind of quota that I have to make for it. You know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed all of it.
Yeah.
It really lent itself to the storytelling that we usually do. To be honest, you know, it felt really rolled standard to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. It definitely meets it for me. I know that we did things a little bit different, potentially wrong,
As per usual.
as per usual. But it's good. Free League makes fantastic games,
Yeah.
and this is no exception.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, not only that, I think that it's worth something to say that the presentation of their actual physical stuff is fucking amazing too, dude.
Beautiful. Every one of that company's books is just beautifully laid out.
Yeah,
beautifully
but this
presented.
one too, it's like just the artwork that's put into it. All
Yeah.
of the people that did all that is
the weight
so,
of the paper.
Oh, the paper was great.
Dude,
I
every
loved
time
the
I turn a
paper.
page in that book, I'm like rubbing the page.
Yeah.
It's just so well made that you just it's just
And it
beautiful.
also
Beautiful
has
book.
like it holds true to that artistic style
Indeed.
through everything that it does, you know. Like if I can love Merc Borg for its wild, expansive artistic style, I love Vaesen for the opposite.
Okay.
It holds on to like it holds very true to itself, and honestly, the presentation of it all feels very 1800s. everything that you look at, the paper itself, all of it, it just
It definitely fits its theme.
yeah, I could feel like you're pulling a book off a shelf and that's from that era type of shit.
Yep, that fits. With that, I guess, don't sniff Yule, and we'll see you immediately after this for Cold and Deathless Part 0.
Hell yeah, boys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
All right, Nate back here once again at the end of the episode to let you know that our Patreon's a little bit different now. Of course, you can still find us on all the same socials looking up the World Standard, but Patreon specifically has changed a little bit. We added a new $3 tier called Paul, which is general Discord access and knowing that you support us, of course. Our $5 tier is the standard bearer tier, but we've added now, of course, the Discord access, exclusive voting power, behind-the-scenes content, and getting the opportunity to name one of the potential NPCs we come up with in our main feed. And back up to our D-Pick Agent $10 tier is, of course, bonus episodes, Discord access, exclusive voting power, behind-the-scenes content, NPC naming, and some Patreon shoutouts, just for you guys. Otherwise, everything's all the same. Find us anywhere you're looking for the World Standard. Of course, as always, we hope that you love the show, and don't sniff glue.